So, tell me something terrible. Would you like me to top you off?
Sure.
Who does? That wasn't bad. Hold on. Let's go. That wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't.
Hasn't pressurized. Splish splash. Splish splash. I don't know if you could hear that on the mics. Maybe.
Doubtful.
Is that how we're going to start the pod? Just the sound of corks popping and wine flowing?
If it records, I suppose.
All right. Well, let's start there.
Okay.
All right. Merry Cultmas, y'all. I still have my headphones on. I hate the sound of my own voice. Can't do that.
This is fun for both of us. This is fun for both of us, not liking the sounds of our voices.
Oh, to do a podcast? Yeah, it's a terrible idea. Are you going to be okay over there?
I'm fine.
Do you need a coffin drop?
Nope, I'm good.
Good. They're all the way downstairs.
How about you? How's your sinus situation?
Oh, great. If you don't follow us on Facebook, your boy broke his nose Sunday. So I broke it playing basketball. I
took a bow to the face.
I took an elbow to the face from a dude who's, well, he's probably 6'4", so he's probably 8 inches taller than me. Destroyed my nose. I put it back, and then a murder scene ensued when my nose...
blood spatter everywhere.
Yeah, well, okay. First, it was just pooling in my hands.
Didn't you sneeze?
No. I didn't sneeze. So it was pooling in my hands. And luckily it happened on the end of the court by the bathrooms.
Oh, good.
So it's in my hands, and I'm like running, and he's like, "You all right, man?" And I was like, "Nope, not all right." And then I kept walking, and I went in the bathroom, and I looked up.
I'm holding my blood. I'm not okay.
Yeah, I have a this isn't an offering. I'm not going to the... Yeah, we were in a church, so, good.
That's what was in communion this past Sunday?
Yes.
Scott's bloody nose.
But then I went to the bathroom, and I was standing over the sink and just letting it flow, wet paper towel, trying to fix it all. And then I looked up, and I, obviously still bleeding. I couldn't breathe through my nose because it was broken, and there was blood flowing out of it. So I breathed out of my mouth and just blew blood all over the mirror.
Those respiratory foamy. Was it a little bit foamy too?
No.
Oh,
it was still very liquidy.
Go back and listen to the blood spatter episode.
Because bear in mind,
that's prime example of the respiratory blowback.
This was good nose, that thinner nose blood that really flows.
Aerated a little bit, so it was a little bit foamy.
Yeah, and it just I looked up, went, and it was like, poof,
and he's a heavy sire.
Well, thank you.
Our whole family is heavy sires.
But yeah, no. And then eventually got it to stop.
Even the dog.
And then I had to go back and clean up all the blood, which was great because I kind of felt like I was going to pass out because I'd lost a bit of blood. So bending over and cleaning
and the
up.
shugs was high, right?
Yeah, which it was a mess. But anyway, so we didn't record last night because that seemed like a bad idea.
Yes, let's consume a full bottle of wine by himself after losing blood.
And taking painkillers and, having a nose that was 3 times my normal healthy size nose.
It was a little bit shaped like an S, and I was trying to be sympathetic and not an asshole, and I failed miserably because I'm a bad person.
Yeah, she was mostly like, "Oh, I used to like your nose, and now look at it."
It's an S.
And I was like, "Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to be out on the road, laying down. If you need me, don't come. Don't come if someone stops." Anyway, no, but it's better now. I have a wicked black eye. I seriously got I felt like people were avoiding me when I went to the grocery store earlier to go buy Christmas stuff. They looked at me and they're like, I don't know what happened to that guy.
That guy might snap any second.
Yeah, that guy has been through some shit. He's only got one black eye, so I mean, I don't know what the other guy looks like. I want to be like, his elbow's probably fine. But I didn't stop and ask him how his elbow was doing. But yeah, so I just look like I've been abused. It's in my left eye, which would be your right hand, your dominant side.
Be.
So yeah,
Look.
you just hauled off and got
Look.
a little feisty once.
I only hit you once. You kind of deserved it.
No.
And then I put some holes in the fence.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No, my face feels fine. Nose a little swollen. I'm gonna sound probably a little funny. Not as funny as I did 2 episodes ago where I was super congested and I felt like I was trying to do an accent the whole episode. I don't know.
Guys, it's tough living in the Midwest.
Yeah, I felt like I was like, hey, talk like you think you're a bullfrog. Okay. Oh, okay. But no, it was just, yeah, this is more of a tolerable. You might hear some sniffles, but I'll try
It's just the blood clots he's
No.
trying to swallow.
I will try to actively pull back, sniffle to myself, and come back. And hopefully the audio software buffers out a lot of the sniffling. But we have wine from our local orchard, which is the way we like it. I tweeted at them. They don't have any followers. They don't care about social media, which is fine.
No, they don't have to. They're such a staple in this tiny community that everybody knows about Macaleese.
They are. And
I used to ride the elephant Laura when I was growing up.
yeah, you remember the elephant's name? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
But anyway, this is a long one.
it is.
We're going
let's
to try to do this all in one shot.
But we're going to break it up into 2 parts.
Yeah, either we will take we're going to get like halfway through this and we'll just call it a night, or we'll record the whole thing and then chop it up afterwards. We haven't decided yet. You haven't decided yet. We have 2/3 of our second bottle of wine to go, so we'll see how far it gets us.
Yep. So, introductions. Hi, I'm Tiffany,
I'm Scott.
and you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are. And we are battered and bruised. Tiff had hand surgery last week.
Got 2 stitches.
And some gunk sucked out of her hand. I have a broken nose. We're going to power through this.
Yeah, we are.
We're pros. I
Nope.
mean, we don't get really paid by, like,
We're determined if
Yes.
like anything. Yeah,
we have an audience that we care about a little.
we do. We care about a lot.
No, I meant like,
Especially when
sorry.
we run into them in the grocery store and they tell
Yes.
us how great they are.
Yeah. We have a
Thank
little
you.
audience we care about a lot. I don't mean we don't care about the audience. It's just a little audience that we care about a lot.
Yeah.
If it was a lot of audience, we might care a little. But no, jokes. We'd care about most of them a little. And you OGs,
A lot.
a lot.
Especially because that one person that we ran into at the grocery store, we made her top 5
on
podcasts.
Spotify, right?
Yes.
I always want to say. I always want to say Warped. It's Wrapped.
No.
Warped Tour used to be a thing.
I definitely.
Spotify Wrapped is now a thing.
I'm sure she's listening. We actually ran into her at the grocery store while she was listening.
And we were in the booze aisle.
We were.
Shocker.
And it may have made us cry. So, Caitlin, shout out. You keep us going.
I didn't cry. Tiff cried.
I just teared up a little.
I teared up a little.
And then ran inside. I was like, look it.
And if you're a patron, if you're a patron, Tiff definitely cried at the last Patreon at the end of the last episode.
Did I?
Yeah, you were very emotional.
Was I?
I don't know. Go back and listen.
I clearly had a lot to drink.
Someone doesn't listen to the patron. Her own patron. We're not our own patrons. We could really pump those numbers up. We should become our own patrons. Anyway.
No. No.
Jokes. All right, so it's Cultmas season.
It is. So this is a big one. Classic, if you will. You've heard of this one. The Rolls Royce cult.
Yeah, because she's like, which ones have you heard of? And this is the first one I listed.
Yeah, I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
He knows this one.
Because like every podcast has done this, but we did acknowledge the fact that not everyone that listens to our podcast listens to a ton of history and true crime podcasts.
So it's good to get some classics in there.
Well, yeah, and there's a reason it's a classic.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, it makes for a good story.
And I tried, this is a shallow dive. This is the thing about cults and why he was like, we should do cults more often. And I'm like, whoa, chill. Because they're a lot. And I knew going into this, they were going to be a lot. I found a documentary. I thought it was only like 2 to 4 parts long, and it was 6 parts long. So I've spent hours listening to and diving into this. So I hope y'all appreciate it. I just really want you to know how much effort I put into this. And so these ones this month are going to be a little bit long. So this episode,
Buckle up, Buttercup.
yeah, I am considering this a shallow dive because I honestly probably left out like a good 60 to 70% of the information that I learned, and I only have 3 sources.
I listened to a podcast about this many moons ago.
Okay.
Or I watched.
I don't think you watched.
No, because I've seen footage of the Rolls Royces.
Yes.
So I'm trying to remember what medium I consumed this on. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I do have a base, like a rudimentary knowledge of this guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's great. So I'm going to attempt to give you a concise retelling of the story of the Rajneesh Puram cult. Mm-hmm. Their leader, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, and his sidekick Ma Anid Sheila. So, in 1968, a growing movement, a religionless religion, was growing around a man known as Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. His teachings were anti-capitalism, anti-modern society, anti-organized religion, free love, communal, energy healing, leaderless teachings. This is the cult. After watching the documentary I watched, I was like, I probably could have been talked into this like in the 1970s for sure.
Or like teenage you in the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, until like I actually got like into the nitty gritty and I was like, oh, there's a lot of nudity and beatings, so I'm good. Get that at home. Just kidding.
Jeepers,
that
lady.
was bad. That's not true at all, I promise. I had a mostly normal
Nudity
upbringing.
happens here. We have a child.
Oh, no, but not inappropriate nudity. like she's out of the bathtub running
No,
around.
I meant like you and I have been nude in the same room before.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. I was going to say no. Not inappropriate nudity. Normal nudity. Anyway. So this idea, it spread slowly at first. Americans would get their hands on recordings of his teaching, share it with others, and soon there was an exodus of Western people to India to sit at Bhagwan's feet as he spoke. It was touted as a meditation commune in order to create a new man, a worldwide religion where all people were equal and living in harmony, and his followers were encouraged to follow a celebratory rather than ascetic lifestyle.
Okay.
So it wasn't like rules. It was very hedonistic, very materialistic, which is opposite of a lot of cults.
Yeah.
Okay. So according to him, Bhagwan was not to be worshipped. He did not consider himself to be like Jesus, but he regarded himself as an agent being used to deliver a message.
Okay.
His charisma and, quote, merciless humor and commentary on capitalism and society and organized religion at a time when free love and civil rights movements were going on and there's a lot of unrest that was
60s,
growing.
yeah.
Yeah. So Bhagwan wound up quickly pulling in thousands of followers. Super easy to do. He took advantage of the whole worldwide social unrest.
Yeah. I mean, Woodstock's inbound, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Woodstock is just a year away.
Yeah.
So his ultimate goal was to marry Eastern philosophy with Western lifestyle in an attempt to become a global guru. Mm-hmm. So he wound up creating what he called Zobra the Buddha by bringing together the spirituality of the Buddha with the materialism and sensuality of the Zorba the Greek.
Okay. I don't know Zorba, but
I don't know Zorba either. I only know Buddha. Buddha is a very selfless, like giving,
yeah.
like anti-materialistic, and apparently Zorba is the opposite. So he's trying to marry the idea of like energy work and connecting with people, but also maintaining the fact that like we need money if we're going to maintain this cult.
Yes. And that's literally all the like main shtick of this thing is the Rolls Royce like cult. Like that's like it's like unofficial official nickname.
We'll get there. Yeah. So by 1970, Bhagwan introduced dynamic meditation for the first time to a group of 30,000 followers at his ashram, which is his commune in India. Mm-hmm. Dynamic meditation was, at its core, a combination of Hinduism and psychotherapy. People were dressed in red, orange, or maroon robes with a chain hanging from their necks, featuring a portrait of their dear Bhagwan.
Okay.
First, the followers, during the dynamic meditation sessions, the followers would engage in chaotic breathing, which is short, fast inhales resulting in near hyperventilation. So it was a very aggressive sort of breathing technique, a lot of flailing and rocking and like unsafe breathing, because we know that hyperventilation can lead to like,
pass out.
Yes. The next step was to explode. So this was just screaming and shouting and letting out all of your like pent up anger. And sometimes it would get a little too violent. Some people reporting leaving with broken limbs after an 8-hour session.
So this is like the OG Quakers all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
If you
third,
haven't looked into the Quaker history, Highly suggest.
You haven't gone that much into it. You were just like, hey, they're crazy, and would walk around naked and like piss people off.
Yeah, I just listened to the dollop about like or they were called Quakers because they literally would like shake and scream and like convulse as well.
Yeah, that was so long ago. I don't remember listening to that one.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I've listened to like 500 other episodes. So the next step after the hyperventilation and the flailing.
Hold on, my favorite Quaker story
Okay.
was when they'd like walk through town naked with like a burning fire on their head, like in a cup.
That sounds like a good time to me.
Right? And then just like screaming about Jesus or whatever. Like that's a good way to get attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they would like do this in like through ceremonies and weddings and stuff. Yeah,
I'm assuming they were burned at the stake.
I don't remember, but they're not the Quakers of now where they're like peaceful and like solitary and very like subtle people. No, they were like up in your face, crazy people.
Not gonna lie, I feel like my life projection has very much taken on the projection of like the typical Quakers over the last few centuries.
You said this is your cult, so
yeah, it is. I mean, like at first I was like, I could totally be into this, and then they started showing footage, and I was like, never mind. But I could see how like this is the cult that I would easily be taken into, and then be like, well, fuck, now I can't leave.
Nah, I gotta call my dad. I'm in a cult.
Call back to everybody's favorite true crime podcast.
MFM?
Yep. So after the hyperventilation and the violent convulsing, the third step was dubbed Hoo. H-O-O. So this is a step in which you would put your arms above your head.
Is this Husfrava?
No, kind of. So you'd put your arms above your head just straight up, and you'd jump up, and then whenever your feet made contact with the ground again, you would shout, Hoo.
Okay.
So you had groups.
Like the worst kind of burpees?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, burpees, these ones don't include push-ups, so it's not the worst kind of burpees.
Okay.
So everybody would do this in sync with the hundreds, sometimes thousands of people that would come to see Bhagwan speak, and they would partake in this meditation.
It just sounds like a bunch of crazy fucking owls.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on over there? Oh, that's Bhagwan's group. They're a real hoot. Sorry.
No.
You were like coughing and stuff, so you just left that. You left a lot of floor time there.
I had time to squeak in a bad dad joke.
Yeah.
So the last step, everyone would just lay silent and still on the ground.
Uh-huh.
And then in later footage, it would show that there were also, like in different ashrams and communes, there were just a lot of naked people laying about still. So at some point,
clothes off.
A lot of people, yes, would just wind up naked. And there was like a scene in some of the footage that looked a little bit rapey. It's fine.
Okay.
It's violent. Like, I guess in most cults, you would just play pretend the violence and frustration and anger where you'd like let it out, but like not actually physically hurt somebody.
So like those weird emo dancers? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where they like mosh pit with ghosts. What's that called? Like what Stewart does in Letterkenny?
Metalheads.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mosh pit with ghosts?
No, but
Where you, like,
I've mosh pitted before.
Spin your arms in circles and like act like you're possessed and shit?
No, not that bad. No, not usually that bad. No, but I have mosh
But
pitted before.
everyone's seen like that YouTube video of like the kids like that look like
and
they're under a bridge or whatever.
Yeah, and all of their big trap
Yeah.
pants that I used to own. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and their bad middle parts.
Look, I'm feeling extremely called
they're-
out right
they're
now.
black.
The early 2000s.
Their black
was rough
hair.
for
Their
everybody.
black hair with like the green tint at the bottom.
Stop right now.
And their fingerless gloves.
No. Scott, I have fingerless gloves still. My hair, the first time I did creative color in my hair was splotches of green and aqua blue
Beautiful.
and black. Oh no.
Nailed it.
Anyway, yes, except these people were in orange.
And naked.
And they also had no safe words because instead of like...
No, the who.
No, none.
Who wasn't there safe word?
No.
Who's
So,
touching
like,
me? Oh, she's just doing the who thing. You're fine.
So most people would have like, okay, we've done played, you got your frustrations out, but this would build like in this massive group think that would result in people truly being injured and hurt because like there was no like shut off. There was no like, guys, we need to chill. You're supposed to be
This is
taking out
like-
your own frustration. It could literally lead to assaults.
This is like the Black Friday, where like someone in the back of the line pushes, and then by the front of the line, someone's getting decked in the back of the head.
Yes,
It's like the worst version of the telephone game.
it is.
Yeah.
And so this would draw in thousands of people, and the followers of Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh's teaching would become later known as the sannyasins.
Okay.
So they have a name.
Not the boggarts.
Not the...
No.
No. I doubt they believed in the Fae. Oh, no. My
What?
anxiety pen.
They fell. Good.
Don't worry.
Harry Potter wasn't out yet anyway.
No. Look, boggarts in Harry Potter and boggarts in Fae lore are two totally different things.
I don't know Fae boggarts.
I do. I'm pretty sure we have a boggart in this house.
Aren't you fancy?
No. So when asked what Bhagwan's early commandments were by a reporter, in reply he said that it was difficult. It was a difficult matter to determine the 10 commandments, but just for fun, they were the following: never obey anyone's command unless it is coming from within you also. There is no God other than life itself.
So defiance in every order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Truth is within you. Do not search for it elsewhere.
Okay.
Love is prayer.
Okay.
To become a nothingness is the door to truth. Nothingness itself is the means, the goal, and the attainment.
Okay.
So even though he's preaching materialism, he's also like, nothingness is also important.
Okay.
Life is now
There's
and
two sides to every coin.
yeah.
I suppose.
So life is now and here. Live wakefully and do not swim.
Hashtag be woke.
Yeah. And then hashtag Jesus Christ. Look what you've done to me.
Oh, hashtag Jesus Christ.
He's my homie. So do not swim, float. Die
Wait,
each.
do not swim, float.
Very Stephen King-esque.
Okay.
So
The water is salty.
so die each moment so that you can be new each moment. Do
or
not
just be dead for the rest of the moment.
Yeah. Do not search. That is stop and see
Okay.
instead of searching. And every day, so those are his kind of like
His guidelines.
Yes. And then every day at 2 p.m., the sannyasins would meet for their daily discourse, listening to the Bhagwan's teaching and meditation. So this is like a daily thing.
So it's pretty much be present, make your own rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very hedonistic.
Okay.
Yeah. And eventually the Bhagwan began clashing heads with the Indian government, like actually India government. I got to clear that up for some of our American listeners. So Bhagwan sent out his personal secretary at the time to try and find a new place to move his ashram to. She looked to Germany, other places in India like New Delhi, all over the world. Eventually, a little bird mentioned the United States, and that it would be a refuge there for their budding belief system because of our handy First Amendment, the right to religious freedom and the right to assembly.
Yep.
His first secretary, due to her failings, was then replaced by Ma Anand Sheila, who was a shrewd, sharp, quick-witted, determined woman. A core group of followers headed to the U.S. in about 1980, and more specifically, they headed to Oregon.
Okay.
To this tiny sacrilege of the name town called Antelope. Sorry, not Antelope, like the animal.
Nope. Antelope.
Antelope. The population was 40.
Yeah, that's like, I wouldn't call it a town.
No, it's a family.
Yeah. Maybe two.
None. Sure.
For some reason, I thought they were in Idaho, not Oregon.
No, they're in Oregon.
Okay.
There's another one that forms out that direction too.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Maybe that's California.
Now you're thinking of Manson.
No. I'm thinking of the guys that were all dressed in white and shaved their heads. And it was
The
an
Airbenders?
No, it was no, it was an AA group that the guy started as an AA group and then it was narcotics.
American Airlines?
No, it wasn't Nexium, but it was something similar to that. There's so many cults, guys. The U.S.
Anyway.
is just a breeding ground for them.
Keep plugging away with your Oregon.
So this one was in Oregon, in Antelope, with a population of 40.
It's antelope. It's cantaloupe.
So in Antelope, it was primarily made of middle-class retirees and ranchers. And the closest actual town was 19 miles away. So the Rajneeshis purchased a 63,000-acre ranch.
That's large.
It's about 100 square miles.
Okay. How big? Is that like the size of Rhode Island?
I don't know.
How big did you say? 63,000 acres?
Yes. You're going to Google it?
Where's your phone? Hand me your phone.
Right here.
My phone's on the charger.
Okay.
The Los Angeles charges.
So this ranch that they
Google.
purchased, it was known as the Muddy Ranch, claiming that, and they claimed that their intent was to develop a ranch and reclaim the land.
How big do you think Rhode Island is?
Not 63,000 acres based on that chuckle. I'm going to say 50,000
Hold on.
acres.
How many square miles did you say this place was?
100.
Okay. No, that's fine. Sorry, it came up with square miles. Rhode Island is 1,200 square miles.
Okay. So almost the size. Oh, no, just
No,
kidding.
not even. No.
A tenth of the size.
In acre. Rhode Island is 750,000 acres.
Oh,
Okay.
still a large city. 100 acres? Or 100 miles? 100 square miles?
It's like the 10th of the size of Rhode Island.
Right, that's a lot.
It wasn't
that's
as
a
big as I
large
wanted it to be, though. I wanted it to be the size of Rhode Island, and it wasn't.
No. But a tenth of the size of one of our states is a pretty good chunk.
Also, my geography skills just coming. Is Rhode Island our smallest state? I assume it is.
Vermont might be smaller.
No.
Really?
Correct.
Okay. Geographical novices over here. The American education system.
America. Hold on. Smallest state in the U.S. Rhode Island.
Okay. Then Vermont. Or is it Connecticut?
Rhode Island, then Delaware.
Oh, yes. I forgot about Delaware. It's only one of the first
And then
13.
Connecticut, and then New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. I've been to Jersey.
Have you?
Uh-huh.
Congratulations.
We stayed there and then went to New York.
Okay.
Anyway.
For a long time, I thought New Jersey was just part of New York. So.
No. There's a tunnel that separates them.
Oh, good. That's where the Nets were from. Jason Kidd,
Sure.
Keith Van Horn,
Sure.
Vince Carter.
Sports.
No?
No.
Okay.
So they bought this ranch. It was huge. Their intent,
Not as huge as a state, though.
No. Their intent was, they claimed, was to develop a ranch and reclaim the land, converting it to farmable land, not just rocks.
Formidable?
A formidable land.
It should be farmidable.
It should be.
Farmable? Meh. Farmidable? I
Much
like
more
it.
badass.
Yes. We're going to put a grand inquisition in with Webster Merriam. Farmidable.
Yep.
Yes.
So their intent was
Tillable.
to create.
Who the fuck tills?
No.
Farmidable. Yes.
So their intent was to create farmidable land, not just rocks and cliffs and sand. So they wound up like leveling it out, building lakes, blowing up cliffs that were there.
Let me level with you.
Okay.
Sorry, that was my dad joke. That's it.
That's it.
It's the joke and the punchline.
Okay.
That's how most dad jokes work. They're just one bad sentence.
And then they fall off real quick.
A cliff, per se. Unless we've leveled.
They've leveled.
Okay, now we're full circle.
Okay. So, the Bhagwan
This
knew...
is second bottle of wine. When we share bottles of wine, the second bottle of wine, the jokes are way worse.
Yes. So, the Bhagwan knew that in order for this venture to be successful, he would need money generated to keep his teachings going. So this is where the Rajneeshis differ from a lot of cults. That lack of like materialism thing, that was not a thing in this cult.
Typically, Cult 101 is join our cult, give away all your earthly possessions to
one person,
to the prophetic one of the group, the handsome, charismatic one boning all your wives, and then he keeps the whole thing going.
Yes. And usually, though, they still give off the air of like sacrifice and poorness.
Yeah, and then you get like work like farm hands. Yes.
This motherfucker does not.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, thanks for all of your money." Do you want to take a guess how many Rolls Royces this man had?
It's like 19 or something, isn't it? Absurd. Okay.
Higher.
Oh, well, still, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. When they moved to Oregon.
So this is if Jay Leno had a cult.
Yes.
Yes.
So when they moved to Oregon, they had 20.
Okay. I was close with 19.
When they first moved.
So he brought them over
and there's
from India?
5 more years.
So he brought them over from India?
He bought them here.
Oh, good.
There's 5 more years to go.
Terrific.
Okay.
Leave it up for mystery for later.
Okay. So, the Rajneeshis had a habit of attracting the very rich and well-educated people. Bhagwan was known as the sex guru or the guru of the rich. So, they gathered all of their best engineers, surveyors, planners, architects, everything, and started constructing buildings. A-frame houses for the followers. There was plumbing and sewer, a power station, lakes, a shopping center, a small airport with a small fleet of planes, including Lear jets. And they did wind up creating viable, formidable land.
Okay.
And everyone did help, but they were all gung-ho about it. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't seem like women and men both operated cranes and bulldozers and blastings.
Yeah.
Everything was equitable, which was one of the like nice things. He was like, I don't care about your race. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your sex. Everyone's equal.
Yep.
Which is where I was like, all right.
Everyone joins his army.
Yes. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yep.
Because he might say he's not a Jesus or a prophet, but like.
This gets political, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember. Yep.
Yes.
I remember that part of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not like division, like fucking with the voting political.
Well, they are
not
the
like
town.
my opinion is like different. Like they fucked with like straight direct
Will you
fucked
stop
with.
punching my printer?
No.
I
messed
stole
with
that
the-
from my work fair and square, okay? Hardly anyone
Some
at
of the
work.
people that you work with listen.
It was in the basement. No one even knows it's there except Chris, the IT guy. I hope he listens. What's up, Chris? He does not listen.
So finally, after sort of like completing the first phase of the project, Bhagwan arrived. After appointing Sheila as his personal secretary, her role was to run and be the spokesperson of Bhagwan. The day that he appointed Sheila was the day that Bhagwan decided to go silent. So at this point, for a year and
So
a
he's
half,
going like monk?
for a year and a half, the only people he spoke to was Sheila and like a very small handful of like
His
people he
elders,
essentially.
essentially?
Yes, his core members. So the day that he arrived at Muddy Ranch, which is the 100 acres that they or 100 mile ranch that they bought,
Yep.
carpet had been laid out, red carpet. Everyone was cheering, music was playing, flowers were set, there were white peacocks, his throne was sat on the grass.
His throne?
His throne.
Fuck him.
They called him a chair. They called it a chair. This motherfucker had a throne. They sat it next to a gazebo, and there's like footage of him like waving in this documentary.
Like the
there's
Pope?
there's a lot of fucking B-roll footage where there's like there was there was a bit of B-roll footage that they first showed at the beginning where they were like literally on public sidewalks. There were people that came up, Sheila included, and unrolled this like red carpet that was like 4 foot wide and laid all these herbs and flowers along it. And he pulled up in a Rolls Royce and someone opened the door and he got out. People were like on their knees sobbing in public. And then all the locals are like, who the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Their eyes were
Is
huge.
that Elvis?
Like, they had no clue what was going on. It was super trippy.
Yeah.
But you got to watch this documentary with a grain of salt because the directors, you can tell, very purposefully took like the most opinionated, probably racist and xenophobic people and
the
pitted
town.
them against the Rajneeshis. They literally interviewed Sheila.
Nice.
Yeah, like they created that rift for a reason. That rift was there. It was the
Yeah.
70s. Like it's not untrue, but I feel like they exacerbated it.
Yeah.
Because the town wasn't full of just a bunch of white, like 50-year-old farmers. There were people of color there. It was a little bit more diverse than what you would
Yeah.
typically think.
It was the Northwest. It's a little bit more melty potty than
Yeah.
I mean,
Here.
yeah, Oregon's still known for being pretty. I would I mean, progressive maybe. They're at least eccentric.
Yes. Well,
That's
Oregon had the
at the
loosest.
very least, yeah.
The reason why they chose Oregon is because it had the loosest voting laws. You only had to be a resident of Oregon for 20 days before
No
you
sales
voted.
tax.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I bet you their income tax is through the roof. You got to make up for it.
I remember when I was in high school, I looked into it and I was like, Oregon doesn't sound that bad.
And I bet you their income tax is fucking outrageous.
Probably.
You got to make up for it somewhere.
Probably. And yeah, no, I think it was their like property tax is pretty ridiculous too. But I remember
That's where they usually make it up.
I remember being like 16 and I started buying my own shit and I was like, why is everything cost more than it says it does? That was like my first interaction with actual like sales tax. And then we did like the like whatever $1 million project in school. And I was like,
Island.
And I was like, wait, there's no sales tax in Oregon? Why the fuck do I live here? Like
Our sales tax is actually really low. 6%.
I know, but I'm just saying like their weather's not that different than ours. And the sales tax is, and they get an ocean and we got like it's not that different.
Yeah.
There's golf courses. There's more mountains. That's cool. I like mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, fuck it, we'll move to Oregon.
You'd hate it. It's rainy.
It's rainy here too.
It's rainy.
Jackson County has the least amount of sunshine in this entire fucking state. 272 days on average of clouds.
I don't see how that's the case.
And I haven't ran into traffic yet. It's fine.
Anyway.
I'll just might actually take antidepressants if we move out there.
Anyway. No.
We digress.
Yes. Either way, we are very much here.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future.
Yes. So he arrived. There was thrones and white peacocks, people crying, everything.
Peacock.
Yep.
He put herbs on the ground. Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
He's being, just screaming douchebag.
But he's silent.
Oh.
So isn't it convenient? And everything's in Sheila's name. Isn't that convenient?
Sure.
Just like the last cult where everything was in what's his name's name.
Yeah. Oh, it's never in the top person's name.
Absolutely not.
They don't even exist.
Nope.
Essentially.
Nope.
They just are.
Yes. So that day, he pulled up to the white peacocks and the carpet and his throne.
You're gonna be hard pressed to find a cult where I just don't hate the leader.
No, that's the point. They're all fucks.
You just spit all over the whole table here.
Because it's bad.
They just
So he wound up showing
We're gonna do
up.
another YouTube video so you guys can watch her just spit
Gleet everywhere.
all over our wine.
So he showed up to this grand opening in one of his 93 Rolls Royces.
So he's got like $3 million wrapped up in Rolls Royces.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So thousands of followers began flooding.
I wonder how many different people own those now.
They auction them off in Texas.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I wonder if it's like it's probably multiple collectors. But
for sure. It would be put in like a special, like if you bought one of his, you'd have to put it in a special,
There's
like cryogenically
that
sealed.
many Rolls Royces in the U.S. Like, I don't know how many exist.
This was back in the 80s.
But that's got to be like
They're shitty looking Rolls Royces. They're like
but still,
straight up like boxed.
That had to
awful.
be more than 1% of the Rolls Royces that in existence.
Oh yeah, they're a luxury car.
Yeah, they're not everywhere.
No,
my boss had one at one point, a newer one.
we don't talk about your boss.
He
He also had a Tesla, and he has a farm,
No.
and a house down in Florida, and all different sorts of
he
things.
still has the Tesla.
You
I don't think
can't-
he has the Rolls Royce.
I
But it was
can't.
baby blue, which
And he has a Bentley, and he didn't drive it.
that's
there
what
was
it
a
was.
single
No,
cloud in the sky.
You're right. He
was
wasn't
a
a Rolls Royce.
Bentley.
It wasn't a Rolls Royce. It was a Bentley. They're way
Oh my
different.
God, does that matter?
I mean, a little.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I don't know the price difference, but no, you're right.
Not
It was
much.
a Bentley, not a Rolls
It
Royce.
doesn't matter.
Bentleys are, I feel like, more drivable. Rolls Royces feel like you need a driver for. I feel like a Bentley you can actually drive yourself.
Well, the images of the Rolls Royce from the 80s, I feel like if you went over a slight speed bump, it would just bottom out.
Yeah,
They're awful looking.
I feel like you have to have a bow tie on.
Yes.
Anyway.
Which
Carry
you
on.
have. It's time to get a Rolls
Yes.
Royce. So anyway, thousands of followers began flooding into the tiny town of Antelope. Their following eventually grew globally with satellite communities in Australia, India, Portugal, all throughout the U.S. There were 30,000 devoted sannyasians and 500,000 followers worldwide.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And And then every sunrise and sunset, the
Can
followers
you imagine
living.
if he was a Twitch streamer? He'd be killing it, bro.
Yeah, he would.
Sorry.
These cult leaders, they don't know what they're missing out
Some
on.
of the big streamers are kind of cult leaders now, let's be honest.
No, it's called a fandom. It's a much nicer name.
Community. Because that doesn't sound worse. Pledge your allegiance to my following.
Join the patron.
Yeah. Oh, wait, we're one of us. Anyway, keep going.
So,
9 more pages to go. Just kidding.
not that bad. So every sunrise and sunset, the followers living at the ranch.
So every day.
Yes. They bowed and sang to Bhagwan as he passed in one of his 93 Rolls Royces. They listened to 2 hours of video of his discourses because at this point, remember, he's not talking.
So just on repeat, like
Yep.
like reruns?
Every evening.
Bhagwan reruns.
Yes.
Cool.
Bhagwan reruns.
I hope they were shot like The Office. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry.
Breaking the fourth
Yeah.
wall and everything. So there were photos of him plastered everywhere. One article written by a news reporter who was on the ground when the cult was forming said, quote, propaganda was relentless.
Fun.
And then they decided to hold a festival. 15,000 people came to the Muddy Ranch to celebrate Masters Day on July 6th. This became a yearly festival. There was
What day?
July 6th.
Okay.
So 2 days after the 4th of July.
Yeah.
This became a yearly festival. There was a huge pushback from the locals who were very sus of the entire situation. These godless hippies engaging in free love and disavowing marriage, claiming it restricts personal freedom and all. They were very upset.
Well, and marching on their Independence Day with their fireworks and their days off.
Yes, they're 1 day off a year.
Yeah, praising their Bhagwan Indian leader.
This is not a white man. We can't have this
Right.
nonsense. So a German documentarian, difficult to say when you've had a bottle of wine.
All right, you're doing great.
He showed up to the ranch at one point, posing as a sympathizer, getting footage of the daily goings-on at the ranch, including meditation sessions, which he then showed en masse to people at a theater. So he made this documentary. He showed it at a local theater, and it showed a mass of people naked and flailing and screaming. This is the scene that I watched because there's a ton of B footage in this documentary that I watched. Where it got a little, there was like some scenes where you're like, oh, this is uncomfortable and kind of rapey. That's this documentary.
Okay.
And so this doc was shown at a local theater, and this was the first peek behind the curtain for a lot of the locals in Antelope. They flocked there to this like big city, and they were like, holy shit, this is what's going on.
Yeah, that'd be so weird to go and be like, oh, this is what's happening 19 miles from our house? Or-
Oh no, Antelope was literally
yeah, that's
right.
right.
There.
Oh, the big
there
city
was
was
like
19
there
miles
was
away.
like 2 or 3 roads for Antelope and one road that led to the Muddy Ranch
Yeah.
right next to it.
Gotcha. It was the big city was 19 miles
Yes.
away. Gotcha.
This was like next door.
Yeah.
Albeit like they probably had a general idea. Because some claimed that they could hear everything day and night.
Oh, cool.
Yes, because there was no background noise. There was no like traffic or anything. It was just open wilderness. They're kind of up a little bit above everything in these sort of like mountainous area.
Yeah.
People were like, no, bro, we could hear them fucking all day long.
Oh my God. They were literally Hoo-ville. Because they would do
Yes.
the Who thing.
Yes!
And they were creating Grinches
A
everywhere.
sex-driven Hoo-ville.
Yes. Sorry. Just when they were doing the Who thing, and I put it all together now.
Yes. Well, there was one article that I didn't click.
When did he write the Grinch? I'm just saying, where did he come up with Whoville?
Dr. Seuss may have been a
Did he
sannyasin.
live in Oregon?
So there was one article that I clicked on. The headline was quote. They didn't use the word fucking, but it was like they were having sex like chimpanzees. Was like the headline of this article. I didn't read through it. I wanted more reputable sources than that.
Yeah.
But there was one
The
documentary.
primating wasn't working for you.
No, there was one documentary that went. I think it actually might have been the German one who said that he literally went in and there were people just naked and fucking on bridges in front of like everybody else. Like it was
free love, yo.
Literally free love everywhere. Like, it was the epitome of the hippie movement.
Yeah.
Combined with hedonistic lifestyles, combined with like the more extreme versions of Eastern philosophy.
With a little Buddha sprinkled on top for seasoning.
Yes, this guy had a marketing team. He took it and ran.
Yep. He knew what people... Hey, sex sells, yo.
Yeah, it does. Look at Pornhub. It's the only place I could think of that's like a big porn thing. Doesn't matter.
I was going to say, look at Instagram.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
Literally the biggest algorithm, the way to get the most views is like someone who's like highly photoshopped, highly filtered, super ripped, no head. Literally from like the neck down gets the most views.
Huh.
Yep. It's fine. We're fine.
You want to draw some abs on me later?
Nope.
It's a bad joke.
So, on top of all of that, obviously, Bhagwan was a big advocate for free love, saying, quote, "Whatever you do it with great creativeness, and your sex will be amazing." Which I think is the thing that I've been like, you're right, and I would have joined. Let's be honest. Studied art. I'd be like, okay, I'll give this a try. That would have been like the hook, line, and sinker for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the straw that would have broke your camel's back.
Yeah. Without knowing the other stuff, yes.
Yeah.
So the locals in Antelope wanted the Rajneeshis gone, obviously, claiming that they were destroying their way of life and their thriving town of a population of 40. But the Rajneeshis had plans to build the city to 10,000 plus strong.
Okay, that's a big city.
Yes. So in order to do so, they needed proper zoning and ordinances. And they were in violation of the ordinances in Antelope. So the Rajneeshis started buying up properties around town that were already for sale.
Okay.
In this thriving community of 40. To stop the Rajneeshis from taking over, the townspeople decided that they were going to dismantle their own incorporation, thinking that if there was no town to take over, they could stop the cult from spreading. At this point, there were hundreds of sannyasians and only 40 townspeople. So the vote, when it finally happened, failed.
Yep.
And Antelope remained. Animosity grew. The locals made it clear that the cult was not wanted there. They openly carried guns, threatening people, and one local said, quote, "They weren't asking to be shot, the Rajneeshis. They were positively begging for it."
That seems aggressive.
Yes. And so now we'll leave you with part one. So you have a general idea of like the background story, some jokes before it gets real heavy, and kind of the tensions that were growing between the locals and the Rajneeshis. Rajneeshis.
Who doesn't love sexual tension and political tension all in one story?
And guns.
This is like
because
a soap
this is
opera.
America.
This is a soap opera.
It is.
Let's be honest here.
Yes.
So, is someone going to die and come back later in like 4 seasons later?
No.
Oh, dang it.
No one dies.
I know. Don't, spoiler alert. Okay.
Sorry, just somehow no one dies.
Also, fun fact.
And
If you ever need something spoiled, talk to Tiff about anything.
3 seconds in. So, this book.
Anytime I read anything that she's ever read, I don't tell her. If I'm going to watch a TV show she's seen, don't tell her. Watch a movie she's seen, don't. If we watch it, I'm like, just don't say a word. And then she'll start, and I'll be like, okay, turn it off. Nope, not happening. She is a spoiler. She gets so excited that she can't contain it. And she's like, wait, is this the thing where that person dies? And I'm like,
look,
not yet.
Thank you for thank you for framing it as me just being excited instead of being an asshole who ruins things.
I was trying to be nice.
I appreciate it.
Both can be true.
Why not both?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll stop here. And then are we going to release it later this week?
Sure.
Okay. So we'll release it sometime, maybe Friday. Mm-hmm. Friday's good. Mm-hmm. Usually that's the old schedule. So we'll try that.
Oh, and before I go on, one of the reasons why, like on top of obviously a lot of like, I don't want to be someone who's like, oh, well, it was the times. Like, they clearly were a little bit racist, but also they were getting trod on. And there was also, I mean, because there was also a lot of white people, but also this Indian guy. I totally get it. There's a lot of factors going on. But the biggest one was that Jonestown had just happened 2 years before this. Yeah. And so this whole country was immediately on edge. So that didn't help this entire situation.
The climate, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's 40 people. If there's only 40 people in a town, I bet you they had, their families had probably been there for multiple generations.
Knew every single person. Yeah.
So when you have these people coming in, they're pretty much going to take over your town.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Who you are, your background, your genetics, nothing.
You're going to push back.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, you're going to push back a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, it's either push back or just leave. Those are your only two options at that.
That's what they tried to do, and they tried to disincorporate the village, the town. Yeah, but it didn't happen.
Yep.
Instead, they took over and became the mayor and on the council.
Don't see this is what we talk about.
I am a spoiler.
So you can listen to the second part, or if we just keep going, Tiff will tell you the whole thing.
Yep.
Because that's how she operates. Yep. All right. Thanks for listening to part 1 of whatever we'll name this podcast.
Okay.
I don't know what we're going to name it yet.
Nope.
Cool. Hoo-ville?
Sure.
H-O-O?
Yep.
Hoo-ville.
Yep.
Okay. So
Hoo-ville, featuring the Rajneeshis.
the what is her? The
Sannyasians.
I was going to say, that's like when we do yoga and you're like, what's corpse pose called?
Oh, no.
Shavasana.
Yes.
There we go. See? I know things. We do yoga every once in a while. Anyway, thanks for listening.
If you've made it this far.
Congrats.
And we'll see you in part 2.
Come back.
Please
come back. Okay, bye.
Bye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.